Good afternoon. I would like to call to order the meeting of the Wilmington Cable, Video, and Telecommunications Commission for Friday, February 28th. I am Trippy Congo, Chair of the CVT. First, I'd like to do a roll call for all of our commissioners in attendance. Vice Chair Bracy, Commissioner Owens,
Here.
Commissioner Cabrera, Commissioner Simmons,
Present.
Commissioner Kelly Williams,
The salary's not listed.
Commissioner Kelly Williams, Commissioner Walker,
Here.
Commissioner Terrence Williams,
Present.
Commissioner Hayes.
Here.
And I'll swing back to Commissioner Bracy,
Present.
Commissioner Cabrera, and Commissioner Kelly Williams. I would also like to acknowledge others that are in attendance this afternoon. Michelle Bassanite, our Senior Legislative Advisor on Council, John Stant, the Assistant City Solicitor, Anita Hawks, Legislative Admin Assistant, and Ivan Thomas of DETV. If everyone can please take a moment just to review the draft minutes from our February 18th CVT Commission meeting. I will accept the motion to adopt the February 18th CVT minutes.
So motion. Second.
It's been moved in second to accept the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes have been adopted. Now we will have new business. We will have a discussion on the third-party operator and the next steps. Marshall or Commissioner Simmons, who's going to take the?
You go ahead, Marshall.
All right.
All right.
If John Stant can join, like, as well. So basically, the scenario that was shared as a possible recommendation for the TPO for the next steps. Number one is with the city no longer being responsible for the following. No longer responsible for the lease, rent payment, no longer responsible for utilities / cable, no longer responsible for equipment, including new equipment, repairs, upgrades, and no longer responsible for any other type of miscellaneous costs. The agreement will contain a purpose so that there's an understanding of the purpose of our TPO, particularly when it comes to the community component. Lastly, if the TPO ever moves from the site location that it's currently at, the city will not absorb that cost. With the exception of the site that's currently on the third floor, when we move that site from the third floor to the first floor, the city will absorb that cost. In addition, the city may consider for the city's equipment that's at the TPO location site to have the equipment donated to DTV Foundation for the purposes of training for youth and for community purposes, which of course we will need to follow the city's procurement procedures for donating, and or it may require approval of council by resolution. But prior to any formal type of process, the station manager would have to assess the city's equipment, determine if the equipment is still usable and the available life of the equipment and the worth. The city will need to also follow up with BPG to advise you're not renewing the lease. That's the lease agreement on Market Street. The station manager will have to follow up with Comcast regarding the cable feed line that's on the third floor to have it changed to the first floor for DTV Foundation, which the city will absorb that cost. Our station manager would have to assess and facilitate any necessary moving because the lease agreement that was signed by the city, so we must do due diligence to make sure, for financial purposes, that we're within our budget. The agreement will be a one-year agreement. And on a side note, I just wanted to mention that there was discussion regarding some parking reimbursement. So we do want to look at some type of possible partial parking reimbursement for costs that has been absorbed from DTV, because we want to make sure that, you know, like we're being partners, as well as looking to see, is there any like garages or possible things that can be done with off-street parking to have some type of signage for a limited amount of parking spots for DTV that just haven't been determined yet. So, so once again, like just high level is the city will no longer be responsible for like the lease agreements and the utility costs.
Are there any questions from any commissioners? Commissioner Walker?
Yes. When will this take effect?
Chair, if I can respond?
Yes.
So this one-year agreement will be effective March the 31st.
So the end of March. How long are we in the current lease for the studio?
It ends March 31st.
Yeah, so if I can, Mr. Walker, we did like a one-year agreement with DTV. So initially the 5-year agreement had expired, then we did a one-year agreement that expires March the 31st of this year.
So I'm just curious, will DTV be strapped with any cost due to the ending of the lease, or is the proposal that the fund absorbs all of those costs?
As of right now, with the current agreement that DTV has, the city pays all the lease costs. So if we're talking about the new proposal, DTV, so let me be clear, the TPO portion is what we pay. So DTV Foundation also has a site location in the BPG building. The city does not have any funding responsibility for that. We just control the TPO lease agreement for the third floor.
No, sorry.
Okay.
Clarity on the question, Mr. Chair. In terms of the transition was what I was trying to inquire about for moving. I heard equipment may be donated subject to procurement policy. I'm under the assumption that there's some infrastructure already in the location of the secondary location used for the TPO lease. So I'm trying to figure out if there are costs incurred, and if there are costs incurred during that transition, are we covering is the proposal for us to cover those costs, or would that leave the TV strapped?
So at the moment, because if we do this scenario and we need our equipment and everything to be out by March the 31st, so that the city is not on the hook for making a $8,500 payment come April. So the city is going to do its due diligence to make sure, like the moving costs, that we incur that cost. We prefer if we don't have to, but it's our lease. So it's our responsibility to make sure everything is moved and cleared out by a certain date and a time frame. And now, because we're in February, in March is what, a couple days away, or is it tomorrow?
Yeah,
Tomorrow. Okay, so that is going to be a tight time frame. Based upon a decision like that is made here. Also, we know that WITN has like other responsibilities as well. So we're going to have to be like mindful of that, trying to mitigate costs as much as possible. That's within reason.
Got it. Another question, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Any other commissioners have any questions? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Commissioner Walker.
In terms of, if I recall correctly from the last meeting, we were already budgeting for this fiscal year to operate in a deficit. Would this agreement we enter into essentially stop, as of March 31st, stop all payments to DETV? Meaning usually there's like a $90,000 expense plus the rent, utilities. Understand rent and utilities would go away. My question is, for that $90,000 portion, we've only paid that's been prorated for the month, I'm assuming, or is that a front cost? Would they lose out on funds for their fiscal year
Okay.
out of that $90,000 bucket?
So to be clear, we don't provide any direct funds to DTV. So what happens is whatever money that we get in from Comcast, we take that money to pay for the cover of the lease as well as the utilities. So just talking numbers in total, the total lease agreement for a year is $105,000. We anticipate getting like $90,000, so we already going to be in the hole. Plus, we have to cover the cost of utilities. So there's already going to be a shortfall.
So it's a direct relationship.
It's a direct relationship.
Okay.
In addition, so we do look at it on a monthly basis, but I was just talking about the numbers like on a total annual basis.
Got it. All right, I appreciate that.
All right, thank you. Any other commissioners? Does anyone from the public have any questions? Yes. Please introduce yourselves.
No, I will. I can.
Thank you. Hi, April Johnson, Director of Operations for DETV. If I'm understanding correctly, there is an annual cable fee for the line itself, for the that the TPO uses. Is the state going to continue to pay the cable fee, the annual cable fee, from the $90,000 that comes from Comcast?
I'm not sure what cable fee you're referring to.
Teleview.
To who?
There's other costs that are associated with the line when we're looking at it.
Can you come to the mic so the record, for the record?
So there's other financial things that come with the cable fee, such as Teleview, and I know the internet. But is the city going to take care, be responsible for the Teleview, or is DTV would be responsible for that?
DTV.
Okay.
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Cabrera, who has joined us.
Thank you.
Commissioner Walker.
Yes. Privileged to continue talking.
Sure.
Sure. Thank you. Can you outline what the Teleview is and what that cost amounts to?
It's an automated system that we use to keep things on air, and since we've been in service since 2019, the city has taken care of it. We were just looking through it last night, like what is this really going to cost us for the move, the inconvenience of it again. Now we have 30 days to get out of the station, to put everything downstairs, and then the additional cost to do it. And my engineer was like, well, we have Teleview, and I didn't know if the city was going to take care of it or if we had to take care of it, the cost for that.
Are there any other costs?
Just high speed internet, but yeah.
Do you expect to incur any costs that weren't outlined by Ms. Bassnight?
I'm gonna say yes. There's anything can happen. I do have some concerns about this. Maybe I can hold it for a later date, but yeah.
So in terms of the cost, we were unaware when we had the conversation with you guys that there was a Teleview cost and the internet cost. And so my thought is saying that if the city is still in contract with Comcast for the line, and then you're going in contract with us as the TPO for the actual line, the line is still the city's. Why would we pay the $3,000 for the Teleview cost that's attached to the line?
Is that an annual cost?
Yes.
So when it comes to Telview, that cost is $3,000, and I don't recall that the city has paid that for the last 2 years. So you might just want to check with Telview.
Oh, well, we don't get the info, the city does.
Okay. Well, I'm not aware of paying anything for Telview for the last 2 years.
Oh, okay, so
Okay.
that's easy to say that.
So,
that
and,
wasn't.
and that's the reason that cost isn't listed there. But as far as cable costs, that is factored into the utilities count line of costs that we're not absorbing going forward.
So we'll take a look at Telview to see who's actually been paying that, because we have not. We have not received any of that information. It doesn't come our way.
Yes, we can follow up on that.
Okay.
Does anyone else from the public or any commissioners have any questions, comments? I don't think so. Okay. All right, seeing no other hands raised. Going to take a recommendation by the CVT Commission regarding the TPO for a 1-year agreement. Councilman, I'm sorry. Commissioner Walker?
Don't do that.
Not yet.
Don't do that. I just want to make sure that, this agreement leaves wiggle room for us to help with transition costs should any occur. As I stated, by all of our materials, it seems as if we were already planning to go into a deficit this fiscal year, and so I want to make sure anything that we do, our agreement allows any expected cost that the TPO absorbs to be reimbursed from the fund, since we were already planning to be in a deficit this year. I think that's the responsible thing to do. We don't want to cut people off without a lifeline.
Well, we definitely appreciate that. When this move happened, it was brought to us like in the summertime. You have 30 days, and then we accrued a lot of finance, a lot of money came out of our own pocket in this move, and then now we have another 30 days. So this has definitely disrupted our cash flow. So I would greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And Chair, I just have to respond to that because the city also incurred a lot of funds from the last move. Also, in order for this move to be successful, DTV, the TPO, has to assist with making sure stuff is, assist with the process of getting stuff moved. So for the last time around, we had to pay an additional month for rent, right? Because DTV and WRTN, wasn't working together, or somebody's schedule was different. So we want to avoid those hiccups as much as possible, because we understand that you have a cost, but also the city. So we're just trying to find whatever that happy medium is, and for us to work together as partners.
Right. I just want to be clear on the record that DETV is not moving. The TPO is moving.
So when I refer to DTV,
Okay.
DTV is our TPO. And I guess at some point, we do need to get clarity. What is the difference between what DTV does as far as DTV as our TPO as well? At some point, we will be getting clarification from that as well.
We can provide that, but I appreciate you, Commissioner Walker, because we are going to incur costs to take that stuff and move those things. And so if there is some latitude financially for us to be able to do that, we would appreciate that.
Commissioner Bracy, followed by Commissioner Simmons.
Thank you. I just had one question. I think this is more for Marshall. Is there a way for us to research that $3,000 fee to find out who's been paying it, or where, to get more information on that, so that if that is something that the city needs to take over, we can, I just don't want to, I want to make sure that there's an action step that comes out of this meeting where we kind of identify if there is a bill out there that we don't know about, we should probably figure it out.
And if I can respond, Chair?
Yes.
Yes, so we do have a contact with Telview, and I'll follow up like after this meeting regarding the Telview invoices.
Thank you. And one more follow-up, Mr. Chair?
Yes. Yes, please continue.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say, as far as it relates to what Commissioner Walker stated, I'm also in support of making sure that we help in any way with the costs that are being incurred with closing out that one studio and getting everything down into their other location. So I'm also in support of us, making sure that this works as a partnership and this process goes as smoothly as it can. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Simmons.
Yes, hi, thank you. Just some clarification for Ms. Bass Knight as well as for the TPO in terms of where the costs are going to lie in terms of moving out. So for Marshall, could you please clarify really quick what we will be doing in terms of the city, in terms of moving out equipment? Like, is that going to be the city's full responsibility? Like, will the TPO have any involvement in the moving out of any equipment or anything else like that?
Well, first we need to have our station manager to assess the equipment, so we can determine like what's needed, what's not needed, what will possibly be donated to DTV, so we can follow our procurement process as well as any resolution that may be required for council. So depending upon that, if there is some equipment that possibly needs to be disposed of, we'll follow the necessary process. We might have to have movers to come in to move stuff from the third floor to the first floor. We may need movers to help pack. I believe DTV may have something that's up like on the wall or something that may need to be taken down and maybe need to be reinstalled on the first floor. So those type of items, we will handle those types of costs. I'm not sure if we will need to have any equipment or anything taken here to the building or storage. I don't believe so. But if so, then we will also need to incur like a cost of, do we need a U-Haul truck or anything like that? But we definitely going to need to get some movers and stuff to help.
Quick follow-up, Chair. Yes, so therefore, based on that, this means that the TPO would only, basically, we would be, how can I say it? The internet is what would be the only thing that you guys would incur cost on, is the internet as well as potentially the, what is it called?
Telview.
Yeah, Telview. Those are the only two costs in which, okay. I just needed clarification on that, but gotcha.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Walker, followed by Ivan Thomas.
Thank you. I appreciate Commissioner Simmons' clarification. I think some is due on my behalf as well. As someone who has dissolved multiple organizations and transitioned multiple organizations, there's the expected cost and then there's the unknown. And I think what's been outlined in the recommendation are those that are known and can be expected on behalf of the city. I think in terms of our partnership with the TPO, DETV, there may be some work that they also need to do in order to outfit it. One of the things that immediately comes to mind, and it's often overlooked when you're talking about moving technology, and I believe Ms. Bass Knight alluded to it, so it sounds like we're prepared to cover that cost, but just if not, to sort of put a fine point on it. When you're moving technology and you have to put lines through walls and install new outlets and jacks for connectors and to ensure there's no interruption in service, possibly running or a double man shift that day when you were in other days. Those are the sort of unexpected costs that I think most organizations tend to look at when they're doing a transition. So those are the things I think we should be aware of during this transition.
Thanks for that, because that's exactly where I was going to go, because when we have 30 days now to relocate, and we outfitted that whole third floor to make it presentable and functionable. Now it has to be taken down, but we can't put all that stuff downstairs in our other studio. So more than likely, and we can't find another place in such short notice. So a lot of that, 98% of that is going to have to go to storage. Is the city going to take care of that bill until we find a location? Because those are things like within the first move, we found out that that fee that was hidden somewhere that cost us around about $15,000 to $17,000. We can't do that again.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be like moving forward. We'd have to find out what those unknown costs are, and then maybe have a special CVT meeting so the commissioners can all be brought up to date, and we can vote on how we can be supportive. I'm not sure how we would do that outside of. I'm sure there are a lot of unknowns, and we do want to be supportive, but we just have to. I think it's only fair that all the commissioners are aware of the unknowns once they're outlined. Yes, Commissioner Walker.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to offer up a recommendation that may be agreeable with our contemporaries here. Expecting the unknown cost, I would certainly entertain us here putting a cap on that number, and anything above that number needing to come back before the CTV Commission, just to ensure flexibility, because with a 30-day timeline, as we all know, scheduling these meetings could be tough, and when you have work to do, I don't want to distract from that work. WITN, who's streaming this meeting, has to be involved in that move. These individuals here have to be involved in that move. So I would be comfortable, and I'm not sure, again, of our contemporaries, putting a cap on that number, and if it goes above that number for unexpected cost, presenting it to the CVT Commission again. But I will trust you all as the experts day to day to negotiate what that reimbursement structure would look like.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons.
Just for clarification for Commissioner Walker, cost related to the TPO or cost related to the city?
I'm talking about costs related to the TPO, any
Okay.
unexpected costs to the TPO that may be deemed necessary for reimbursement.
Okay, just for clarification for the record. No worries.
Yep.
Commissioner Williams.
Chair, since the TPO had to move twice within a year, do you think giving more notice going forward would be reasonable? Because 30 days does not seem reasonable to make all the moves that are necessary and have a smooth transition.
Can I just say something,
Yes, Marshall.
Commissioner? The reason we are here now is because of the timing when it comes to our financial position, right? So we all knew that this agreement expires March the 31st. We have 2 or 3 CBT meetings this year to talk about this, right? So now, a decision has to be made, or if not, we need to do a whole nother lease agreement. So that's the purpose of having this. It would have been nice if this was taken care of the last session, but it's not. So we really had the month of January, the month of February, to make a decision regarding something that impacts March. So unfortunately, this wasn't handled like the last session of council because there were some concerns regarding some language that was in the agreement. So when we go back to March of 2024, the reason there was a tight time frame is because we had to make a decision, are we going to move from the Lancaster site to the site on Market Street? What was the cost savings? So at that particular time, the same lease agreement at Lancaster, it expired on March, right? So since everyone wasn't ready to move in March, we incurred additional month's costs in the month of April. So it's not because, we want to wait until like 30 days to have the TPO to move because it impacts our TPO, but it also impacts our staff as well. So we have WRTN who's involved with the moving, and as well as we have staff upstairs that also is involved. So it's not intentional because we don't want to be unreasonable. The TPO, it is, they are our partner, but we also have to be fiscally responsible when it comes to whether or not we're going to do another lease agreement. So that's the reason we've been in this predicament the last 2 times with the move.
And just to be clear, because one, we've been providing an outstanding service for this city. 2, we didn't ask to be moved to the 3rd floor. We knew nothing about how much that rent was. So last year in 2024, when it came to us that we want you to pay a portion of the rent, that was never in the contract. Comcast contract to the city is they give the city the money to pay for the rent and utilities. We've been doing our duty as a television company, and when I denied that we're not paying it, when the Lancaster, when the 3rd floor was found and signed, you have 30 days to move. And just like you agreed here, 30 days is not a lot of time to move a television station. We did it maybe 45, maybe 60. They had to take on another month of rent. But what did we lose? We lost a lot too, as a company, as a small business in Delaware. So we're right back around this mulberry bush, and we came here because now it's paid. First it was paid $2,500, then it was paid $2,500, and you get this, and we don't do this. So now it's take the signal, and you don't pay any, and we're not paying anything. We're gonna leave you with a whole $10,000 rent, and I was so afraid of that. In September, when we found out, like, yo, this rent is month to month. We said the city of Wilmington is gonna stick us with this rent, with this building. And that's what happened. That's why we're here every 30 days. Now we're stuck with a floor. If we're gonna tell a story, let's tell a story. We don't mind we'll take the deal, but we gotta be fair. We got this parking that we paying for that we haven't been reimbursed for. The move that we were told in the summertime we were being reimbursed for, we ain't got that either. We have never ever asked for anything over $2,000. We asked for it, but we didn't receive equipment over $2,000 to keep the city station looking good. We took our investment and did it. That's why we're here for 30 days. And everybody in this building, everybody watching at home, and everybody that knows the ETV, we love this city. But just for the move in 30 days, that's impossible. That's impossible. Let fair be fair. What's fair for the city? What's fair for us? And let's do it. But we're not going to sit here and say because of this, because of that, DETV. No, some of this has been unfair. So we understand if the city can't pay for it, we will find something else. But give us some time and help us out. Don't stick us. We've done a lot for the city during the pandemic, during the recession, doing everything, keeping people informed.
Chair.
Yes, Marshall.
I'm sorry. I mean, I have to respond. And Mr. Thomas, I mean, I know that, I mean, you're passionate about the TPO. We're also passionate about the TPO because the TPO, I mean, is our partner. So you mentioned about the cost for parking and the cost for the move, right? Okay. So one of the things we did mention in here that we was going to try to assist with some of the partial reimbursement for your parking, right? Unfortunately, the person that was here before are not here, right? So there was promises or conversations that were made that was not finalized, right? So we are trying, just hear me out, please. You had your opportunity to speak. Just hear me out, okay? So we are trying to work to help resolve that matter. We had a small meeting earlier this week, and I think we discussed that we was going to try to work on that, right? So I just want everyone to know
that's
publicly.
Parking. Okay, that's parking. Okay. But what about everything else? What about everything else from us in 2019? And the meetings are there, the minutes are there, that we was operating in a building for 4 to 5 years without any heat or AC. What about that? We asked for help. What about that? Nothing. Okay. They try to make me, the TPO, pay for it. Matter of fact, I have a question. How many commissioners voted to move in at 1105 on the 3rd floor at a floor that was vacant for 14 years, paying top freight, paying $8,000 a month, $8,500 a month? How many commissioners voted on that? And now we're caught holding the bag.
Chair, I just need to go back again, so the commissioners are properly informed. So number one, the reason that
I
we
said
moved.
voted, not informed, but voted.
Excuse me, all right? I'm speaking. All right, so that the commissioners are informed, the reason the TPO moved from the Lancaster site to the Market Street site facility was because there were HVAC issues that impacted your heating, right? In the TPO agreement, it states that the TPO is responsible for that item, not the city of Wilmington. So we don't determine that, right? So that's number one. So number two, we looked for another facility where the rent was cheaper, and that was the Market Street location, right? It was discussed with you regarding the move, as well as the site.
What was discussed with me, Marshall? Because honestly, back when we were talking about the move, John was talking about that his one of his things that he had a huge problem with was us being, when we was back on Lancaster Avenue, us being responsible for the heating unit and the AC unit because one, we just moved in, and two, the city was the tenant. So that's
I'm sorry,
but when was
because
it
once again, you need to read your contract, right?
Okay.
You need to read the sublease agreement, and it was told to John Rago, it was told to you in an email as well by our attorneys. There's a subsection within your agreement that says who's responsible for that.
All right.
So the reason we was trying to find a way out was to find another location where you wouldn't have any heating issues and where our lease cost that the city is paying would be less, which was the reason the 1105 Market Street site was chosen, which you was well aware of.
It was chosen and signed without us knowing about it, because what we would have said, like the problem that we have now, is that outfit is not fit for a television station. I have called and emailed to say plenty of times that our equipment, your equipment, is overheating.
Okay.
So we can go back and forth all day long. Only thing that we're asking for is if we have to move, we move, but be fair with us. Help us out. Don't leave us out on the island like we did in September and August. We can't afford that. That's
Okay,
all
wait a
I'm. That's
minute,
all
all
I'm
right.
saying.
I'm gonna ask that. Hold on.
No, one thing for the record.
Marshall, hold on 1 second, please. I'm gonna ask that just whoever wants to speak, just ask permission, so it doesn't come across as an argument.
Understood.
Yeah.
So just
Chair, can I
yes,
speak, please?
yes, Marshall.
Okay. First of all, the only reason the city looked at the Market Street location was because you.
I said it's available.
Mr. Thomas, we just agreed.
Sorry,
All right, thank you.
apologize,
Okay.
Chair.
Thank you.
So the city would never have even looked at that site. I mean, you the one who came to the city. DTV is the one that recommended this site location. It was mentioned, I think we met with Chris Buccini, one of the Buccini brothers, and we toured the facility. I believe you the one who brought that to our attention, say that, hey, this here will be a great site location for us. That was the only reason we looked at that site. In addition to that, of course, we did our due diligence. We checked around the city as well for other places to see if that rent price was within range or was it a discount. So I just want commissioners to know we just didn't go and arbitrarily pick this site location without some type of discussion with our TPO that would be impacted.
And that is
Mr. Thomas.
absolutely right. You said, do you know any space? I said yes. I made the connection. You went upstairs with Chris Buccini, took a look at it. I wasn't there. I was out of town. And the next thing I know, I got a message that said you have 30 days to move.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
So-
and then we're gonna after this we're gonna move to our
Yes, if we
to our
can move on,
attorney.
but I just have to say this too, is you were out of town, but I believe that you had your other person to come, Dennis.
Dennis,
Okay.
he walked up there.
Can I finish?
Marshall.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's all I have to say. I just want to make sure that when we, speaking, that we're speaking like factuals. That's my role, is to provide factual information to the commissioners.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Chair.
Mr. Stant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the February 22nd, 2024 meeting of the CVT Commission, the issue of leased access rent being having skyrocketed was discussed. At the time, the Lancaster site was roughly, if I can read my own handwriting, $90,000 per year, and it was only increasing. There was a mention that DTV had leased property at 1105 North Market. I believe that's the first floor that's been discussed. And then there was a discussion of additional office space at 1105 North Market. So from my notes, there were discussions a year ago regarding the move. And from what I recall, at the time, our office had drafted a lease for Lancaster. One of the other attorneys in the office was assigned to draft it because she had done the agreements at Lancaster in the previous years. And then the BPG lease at 1105 was discussed, and then that was drawn up. I just wanted to come up and provide that clarifying information for the commission.
All right, thank you. Yes.
So I'm sorry, I have a question then. You said that the lease at Lancaster was $90,000 a year at that time. Roughly $90,000. And what we were paying at, what you guys were paying at 1105 is $102 a year.
Yes.
So the cost savings was none. So the move to save the money, in my opinion, from what I just heard, I'm not the smartest egg in the bunch, but from 90,000 to 102, there was no cost savings.
That's not the,
Michelle.
Chair, can I respond?
Yes, Michelle.
He's gone off based upon his notes, but we can pull the actual lease agreement
Okay.
for Lancaster and provide those numbers because the amount did change. They increased their rent.
Okay. I would like to say. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe that the benefit of moving was the rent was going to be less, and also we weren't going to be responsible for the HVAC system.
HVAC repair. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Commissioner Owens.
Yeah, there's been a lot discussed here. I wasn't here last year, but I do have a question. What will be the impact on providing information to the residents of the city of Wilmington if we do go through with this?
It's going to take some time to move everything over, get everything, again, now we're just like rebuilding, we have to rebuild the model again. Not the model, but the distribution of it. It's going to be probably about, like when we did that initial move in September or June of last year, it was so much to get into a whole nother workflow. And now it's going to be disrupted again. And we're talking, and when I mean workflow, I'm talking about revenue coming in, just everything is disrupted, man. I can't give you a hard number. I can't give you a hard answer, but it will be a total. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time because we're still not there yet from where we were before because of disrupting move, getting everyone organized, getting everyone situated, getting lines ran, get things ran into the wall.
So, yes, Commissioner Walker.
Yeah, I appreciate the discussion, and I agree with Commissioner Owens. I was not serving in this capacity last year as well. I want to revisit my previous recommendation, which I believe Commissioner Bracey supports, and it sounds like there's growing consensus that we allow for the administrative arm of this committee to reimburse the TPO for unexpected cost due to this transition that may not be foreseen at this time. And because I think Mr. Thomas's plea is reasonable for fairness and time during the transition. And since we do not know what that could entail, we want to make sure there is flexibility to be responsive to those needs as they arise. So I just want to reiterate my opinion that we need to provide a level of flexibility during this transition.
Commissioner Owens.
I think also in there you said it would be a cap.
Yes, sir.
All right. How do we decide that cap?
Well, I'm just going, sorry,
Yes.
Chair,
Walker.
thank you. Going by the testimony of our current TPO operator and understanding it is roughly off the top of the head, so sometimes numbers can change. There was a range of $15,000 to $17,000 worth of unexpected cost. I feel comfortable setting the cap just a tad higher because I think, as we all can agree, inflation is real. And so that's how I would determine the cap, Commissioner Owens, and I feel comfortable setting a $20,000 cap.
Thank you. Commissioner Bracy, followed by Mr. Thomas.
Thank you. I am in favor of a cap. However, I would ask that we revisit the expenses from the last move, the move from like the Lancaster site to the current one, because that should probably give us a good guideline. And this is an internal move. It's in the same building. But if we could look at what was spent by the city, and then like if we had actual numbers of what was spent, because I know the city incurred quite a bit of cost. And I know from this conversation that so did DETV. So if we actually had those tangible numbers, I think it'd be easier for us to set that cap and say, okay, we're going to reimburse expenses up to this point. Because if we say $20,000, there's still costs that the city is going to incur, which I'm fine with. I just want to make sure that we know what was spent the last time, so we have a better idea of what number we need to say. But I support that. I think that's fair. There's been a lot of passionate discussion, and I don't think that anyone here wants to make this any more difficult than it already is. So whatever we can do to kind of streamline this process and show our partnership, the reality is that we're just in tough economic times all the way around. And I think everybody's feeling it. But yeah, I definitely would love to see those numbers from the last move. Thank you.
Mr. Thomas.
And that's exactly what I wanted to talk about, because I wanted to reiterate the move that we did roughly around 15 to 17, but with the city had moving the install of upstairs, they're going to have to take it down and then install it downstairs. That's exactly what I wanted to mention.
Commissioner Williams, followed by Commissioner Walker, followed by Commissioner Cabrera.
Thanks, Chair. I think the prior move would be a good starting point, but as Commissioner Walker mentioned, because costs have increased drastically from a year ago till now, you may want to keep that in mind, because things are going up from week to week.
Commissioner Walker.
Yeah, the only thing, and I wholeheartedly agree with everything that's stated, and I would normally love to establish a baseline off of the prior move, but we're looking at 31 days, meaning the time to schedule another CVT commission meeting to agree on the cap that's imposed, to then get to work of decommissioning. We're just tightening the timeline, unless I may be correct in my assertion, Commissioner Bracy. Would you allow some sort of the administrative staff to do that work of reviewing previous expenses and allowing some sort of inflationary measure so that we don't have to reschedule a CVT meeting to agree and vote on that? That's just that's my question.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Cabrera.
Thank you. Had to unmute. I'm in support of this. I think it's a fair compromise, and it just gives you time to work things out. I know that, we didn't know this was coming. We sensed it could be coming. But as mentioned, we are in these dire times and expenses are going up. Something to revisit. But I just felt that it just wasn't fair to kind of throw this on the TPO as well without, advanced preparation. So I'm in support of this. I can go along with this, and let's work things out and make sure we pay attention this year so that we have a better compromise for next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any recommendations from any commissioners of how we move forward to be supportive financially to the TPO?
Sorry, just
Yes.
Chair, I thought I saw
Commissioner.
Commissioner Bracy's hand.
Oh, Commissioner Bracy.
I just had one question because I think this goes back to what Commissioner Walker just mentioned. Once we've made the recommendation, does this, whatever we decide, does this need to go to City Council? Because if that is the case, then we need to make that decision today because it'll have to go to council, correct? Or
Michelle?
Yes, if I can, Commissioner Bracy. So this will be a one-year agreement. So one-year agreement, it would not have to go before council.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Bracy, were you talking about the agreement or how we help?
Actually, both.
With the-
I'm not
with the
sure if that,
reimbursement.
would council have to vote on that or is that just something the commission decides?
Michelle?
Yes, so Chair, for the agreement, as well as for the TPO, that does not have to go before council. But of course, we will have discussion with council persons so that they are aware. And if I can, Chair,
Yes.
when it comes to the move for the TPO, as far as cost, we're looking anywhere between $25,000 to $30,000. So I know that Commissioner Walker had mentioned amount. So I just want to take that into consideration. But we can pull some hard costs. But the last time it was somewhere, I know we spent somewhere between $25,000 to $30,000.
And that was the TPO and the city?
For the cost that, yes, in total, yes.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner Laura Hayes.
Mr. Thomas, I just wanted to go back, if I may, very briefly. Commissioner Owens asked what will be the impact to residents. And you said it's going to take some time, and I just wanted to understand
What time means?
what you mean by that.
We're going to
sir.
stop. We're going to have to stop production to get everything now outfitted downstairs. So it might be 2 months. 2 months might be 9 months. 9 months a little too long. It might be probably like 3 to 4 months to get back into routine. Because when everything needs to be taken down, if we're moving the signal downstairs, we have to prepare the entire downstairs studio, getting everything rewired, getting everything reset, and then back to work. When we did the initial move in September, we was just playing reruns, so they're going to see reruns. They're not going to see anything brand new.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Simmons.
Yeah, question for Ivan. So in terms of rewiring, there's wires on the third floor that are connected to the downstairs area.
No, but if we're going to move that equipment from down upstairs, which you're sending the signal downstairs and the racks and everything, we have to just redo that whole control room down there. That's what it is.
Is it possible that we could get like a timeline?
That's totally
Send over to us, or
how
no?
long did it take? You had the company Rivero or
Yeah,
that does all of.
Yeah, so based upon like what happens, whatever decision is made today, we'll start reaching out to someone regarding the costs as far as those types of things. And I just wanted just to say, we can provide to the commissioners later today, but the cost that the city observed for the move was roughly $30,000. I think, Mr. Thomas, you mentioned that y'all probably spent about $17,000. And as an escalator, if y'all going to make a recommendation, I mean, probably somewhere between 20 to 25, but just realizing too, we'll have some additional costs on our end. So I just want to mention that for the record.
Do any commissioners have any suggestions on how we move forward, how we can be supportive as far as, Mr. Thomas, go ahead.
And just for the record, in that rewiring, we'll be like putting new circuit breakers in there to hold that heavy equipment because we don't have that downstairs.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Walker.
I'm based off of previous cost escalators. I revisit the conversation, making a recommendation that we set the limit at no more than 20,000. Of course, reimbursement has to be proven to our staff on the CVT Commission for that reimbursement. Anything above that need to come back before the commission, understanding that the city is also going to incur costs, but I'm focused on the reimbursement cost to the TPO itself.
Is there a second?
Second.
Chair, quick question.
Yes. Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner Walker, for the 20K cap, that was for the unforeseen costs,
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Okay.
So it has been motioned and second that we set a cap of $20,000 for reimbursement to the TPO for any unforeseen costs in moving from the third floor to the first floor at their current location. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? My motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think we are still on. Give me one moment.
So, Chair,
So next, yes, Marshall.
yes, so we just basically took care of item A and B. If I can just mention just a couple things for regarding some next steps, so that we all know, is that in the meantime, while all of this is going on, of course, the city, we're going to review our financial position regarding the PEG, the public education in G, and also to be able to determine the next steps for fiscal year 2027 regarding possible solutions for the government portion as well. So just want to mention that. Also, another major thing that's going to happen is the CBT Commission may consider reviewing to do a RFP for a TPO for a multi-year agreement. So that's going to be something that's going to be in the pipeline rather than continuously doing one-year agreement. So I just want everyone to know that for the record.
And just for clarity, Commissioners or Marshall, have the commissioners do the commissioners need to put up a vote on us not paying the rent and utilities?
I'm sorry. I
we've
thought
done that yet.
Mr. Walker.
Mine was a recommendation in addition to the proposal.
All right.
I don't think we've covered the original proposal yet.
Okay, I agree. Thank you.
Okay. Did you want me to mention the original recommendation?
Yes.
So that y'all can, okay. So the original recommendation suggestion is the city is no longer responsible for the following: the lease, the rent, the utilities, the equipment, regardless whether it's new, repairs, or upgrade. And we mentioned about the agreement will contain a purpose, so that there's understanding regarding the community component. Then Commissioner Walker had mentioned the suggestion regarding the cap. And this will be a one-year agreement.
Commissioner Walker?
I make a motion to accept the agreement with the cap in place.
Second.
It's been moved and second to accept this recommendation. On the question, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
The ayes have it.
And Chair, for the record, I'm sorry, was there a no? Because I didn't.
Yeah.
Yes, one no.
One no. Okay, thank you.
All right, are there any other questions from any commissioners, any comments? Does anyone, Commissioner Simmons?
Yeah, just to close out, I know there's been a lot of chatter during this meeting, back and forth and stuff, but I just want to say for everybody here that I'm new, just like Commissioner Owens and Commissioner Walker, to this commission. And my goal in being in this role and in this position is make sure we do the best thing for the city and for the city residents. In terms of the TPO and for this move, I'm going to make sure that we do everything that we can to ensure that there's not any of these additional costs, if possible, as much as I can put my best foot forward. Again, I appreciate all the work that you guys are doing. We see it. Not taking that away from anything with this at all. And just know that with this, I'm going to put my best foot forward. I hope that some of these other commissioners are going to put their best foot forward to make sure that we do the best thing for the city and the best thing for the city residents with this decision. So, thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you. Commissioner Owens.
Yeah, I just want to say I think everyone up here is trying to do their best to make sure that it's good governance when it comes to this. We all come from different diverse backgrounds. We all hold different positions and have to be accountable to the city residents, right? That's the one thing we all have in common. So again, I hope going forward that we do not get in a position where we're not properly planning for the future, right? Again, 30 days is not enough significant time to plan for a move. City residents are going to lose out on getting information as of right now. And again, we have to do better and see this stuff coming a little sooner and take action on it. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the pub? Any council? Commissioner Bracy.
Just wanted to say thank you to DETV for all of the hard work that you do as our TPO. It doesn't go unnoticed. We enjoy the programming that you guys put on. We know that this is not the ideal situation to be in, but hopefully we'll be able to get through this quickly and start getting information back out to our residents as soon as possible, and moving forward, as some of our other colleagues have said, be more proactive in making sure that we're flagging things such as this earlier, so that we have a longer runway to get things changed if we need to. But I do want to make sure that we do say publicly that we appreciate all of the work that you and WYTN do to get information out to our community and our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Walker.
Thank you, Chair. I want to echo the sentiments from my colleagues and say no decision's ever easy. But more importantly, the information that's provided by DETV, by all of our PEG stations, but we're here focused on the TPO in this current dispensation of time, is vital. And so I think you'll get agreement in saying whatever we need to do to ensure we cut down on the gap between information being spread to our residents. Please let us know how we can help improve and quicken that timeline. That's all, Chair.
All right. Thank you. Are there any comments from anyone in the public? All right, seeing none. At this time, I will accept the motion to adjourn.
So
Motion
moved.
to adjourn. Second.
It's been properly moved and second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.